In the 1940s and 1950s, filmmakers working under the production code couldn't show married couples sharing a bed. In this pre-code film from 1931, filmmakers had no problem putting two women in the same bed. Sometimes you have to go further back to find things that look like today. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Night Nurse from 1931. This film was considered to be pretty risque for its time. It's not risque for our times, but who knows, I still might have to be careful with what I show considering where we are. So let's see what 1931 thought was risque in a movie that perhaps is partially responsible for the naughty nurses trope. We open with a pretty cool POV shot inside an ambulance. The doctors pull out the patient, and I guess this takes place before we had the technology to make gurneys adjustable. These poor guys have to bend over to push that thing. It's not so bad though, really. In my house, there's plenty of bending over and pushing. We meet various patients and then hop over to a woman, Laura Hart, applying to be a nurse. That's Barbara Stanwyck. We last saw her on this channel in one of my favorite pre-code films, Babyface. Here, she's not qualified to be a nurse since she never finished high school. On her way out, though, she bumps into a doctor and makes a good impression, and he in turn pulls some strings. The head nurse walks her through some of the rules. Off at 7, lights out by 10, one night a week, she can stay out until 12. So I guess this is kind of a teaching hospital where the student nurses live at the hospital. And Laura Hart's going to room with Miss Maloney. That's the lovely Joan Blondell. We last saw her on this channel in 3 on a Match. She helps Laura get dressed. Woo-hoo-hoo, pretty racy. Be still my throbbing... There's a brief scene where Laura passes out some babies, and then we see her and her new roommate entering their room, and apparently they've been out after curfew. Laura suggests they just hop in bed with their clothes on, but Maloney ain't having that, so we get another undressing scene. Pump the brakes, lady, I just put that thing away. They soon find out that somebody has played a little prank, so they're gonna have to share a bed. And in the very next scene, the very first thing Maloney says is this.
You're certainly charitable with that hand of yours.
What do you think? Double entendre? Maybe. A bootlegger comes in with a bullet wound and he convinces Laura not to file a police report. Laura passes her final test, participating in a surgery, and graduates. Her first gig as a real nurse is to be the night nurse. Title drop. She will be taking care of 2 little kids. Weirdly, the kids were recovering just fine at the hospital, but now that they're home, they're doing worse. So that's a bit weird, but before she helps these little kids, she's gonna have to get dressed. Again. The kids tell her that life in the house is pretty bad. Nick, who is not their father, is a horrible man, and their mother can't even visit them anymore. Also, their other sister was killed in a car accident. What is going on in this house? Well, it gets crazier. That night, a drunk guy comes to get Laura so she can treat a very drunk woman who needs to be undressed for some reason. And then a big, angry guy comes in and tells Laura she needs to treat that woman even though she doesn't have permission from the doctor to do so. And when Laura refuses, we learn 2 things. The big guy is Nick, the guy that the kids mentioned earlier. Oh, and that's a young Clark Gable, by the way. And the second thing we learn is that he's got no problem knocking a nurse out. What is going on in this house? 1 dead kid, 2 dying kids, a constantly drunk mother, a brutish chauffeur who has a plan involving killing children, and that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Well, like the best pre-code films, this one has some really snappy dialogue. It's full of sarcasm and wit and is at times very funny. It even has a few good callback jokes. And all of this, of course, is helped along by the strong performances from Stanwyck and Blondell. They're really charming together. And of course, it's fun that the film finds a way to get them undressing every 5 minutes. It's really kind of shameless in a way. And I appreciate that. The film goes from light and fun nurse school movie to something really dark. And even though the tonal shift is jarring, I do appreciate how messed up it gets. A guy keeping a mother constantly drunk so she doesn't notice he's killing her children? That's a really messed up story. And Clark Gable sells it. He is a monster in this thing. Pretty cool. But despite all that, I wouldn't say the movie is perfect. Like two nursing students forced to share the same bed, this film has some shortcomings. Well, my biggest complaint about this movie is when it switches to the child-killing part of the movie, Joan Blondell pretty much disappears from the movie. I know it's maybe more realistic that only one of them would be hired for the job, but come on, they could have had Blondell be the day nurse and Stanwyck the night nurse. And then they could have had both of them trying to solve the problem and save the kids, comparing notes at the shift changes. Or, who cares about realism anyway? They could have just said the family was really rich and could hire 2 night nurses. That would have been just fine. Overall, I like this film quite a bit. It's a light and funny kind of drama at the beginning, and then halfway through it turns into a dark and very much not funny drama mystery, and both parts work pretty well. And the whole thing is over and done with in about 70 minutes.